Hey, welcome to Crime on the Record. This week we are going to discuss the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew. Now, this is a missing persons case from May of 2020, so you've most likely heard about this case, but we're going to go first into a brief overview of the case itself, and then we're going to dig into the details by going through the arrest affidavit for Susan's husband, Barry Morphew. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe, give this video a like, enable all notifications, and if you're listening on a podcast, go ahead and subscribe that way as well. Info on how to support the channel is in this video in the descriptions below. Now, with all out of the way, let's get to the case.
Awesome, awesome. She's so pretty.
She is. She is.
It's so sad. So, this is Suzanne Morphew on the 10th of May in 2020. So right after COVID started. So are we saying has or had? I mean, do we know anything?
I mean, based on the case, everybody, I mean, the assumption is that she is deceased. So, based on everything we read, yeah, I think we just past tense, unfortunately.
Okay. I know, I hate that. So, two daughters, Mallory and Macy, and she had been married to Barry for 25 years. So, at the time, he's on a business trip in Broomfield, Colorado, which is about 160 miles away from their home. They lived in Maysville. Barry attempts to contact Suzanne. And Suzanne's girls also tried to call and text her, but everything goes unanswered. So her daughters ask the neighbor to go and check on their mom. After not being able to find her, though, the neighbors then reported her missing.
Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, they begin the investigation almost immediately. I know that we talk about a lot of cases where it seems like they wait forever before they actually go out there and start. Well, not here. Because, like I said, they were out there almost immediately. They called a little bit before 6, and police responded within a half an hour or so. And at first, I guess, law enforcement didn't think there was anything suspicious about her disappearance. So we have some body cam footage from the investigation from when it started. And you can see in this body cam footage that we're going to show, they're just grabbing the bike without any crime scene technicians out there. They also don't have any gloves on. So that's why I'm saying maybe they didn't think anything was suspicious, because they do just grab this bike and pull it out of there.
Suzanne? Maybe see if you can get that up to the road and then check the serial number, or call the husband and see what kind of bike she has. Somebody chip you, buddy. Can you try to call the husband and see what type of bike she has? Right now I'm staring at a Santa Cruz blue and color.
Well, dude, I started that.
So I guess they didn't see anything suspicious at the time, because, I mean, why would you grab potential evidence without gloves on?
Right.
But a little bit later, in this next body cam footage, you can see apparently they start to think there's a little bit more going on, a little bit more to it, because they tell them, all of a sudden, don't touch the bike, and now they're real adamant about it, so they get a little aggressive with the second part.
What's the thing about 4 o'clock in the morning? Was that activity on the phone? 5 o'clock. Oh, yeah. So we pinged the phone and it said the last activity was at 4 in the morning. Up here? It's off of the Ponzi Tower. So there's not any specific limit. Hey, could you not touch the bike with your hands, please? Hey, guys!
Law enforcement then decides to head to the home, which is what you see in the clip here. And that is a beautiful house.
It is.
And that is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So they get to the house, and the boyfriend of one of Suzanne's daughters is there. So they talk to him. And during this conversation, they ask him if Barry and Suzanne had any problems in their marriage, which seems wild. Like, they're asking the boyfriend this.
Yeah.
I mean, and it must have been awkward for him because you can tell that he doesn't really want to answer.
Yes. Yeah, he really doesn't look like he wants to answer.
I wouldn't either because I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to say this about their parents.
Well, because it goes from they're handling the bike with their hands to, telling them don't touch it. And then when they're first talking to the boyfriend and they ask this question, he's like, but you could see it in the video.
I know this is a weird question, but do Barry and Suzanne get along pretty well?
You can answer honestly.
You know, I think they've had some problems.
Okay.
Yeah, in the past.
Like just normal.
Normal husband and wife type deal.
Oh, they like talk about separating or anything
They
like
have, yeah.
So law enforcement continues to search with plans on bringing drones and scent tracking dogs out. And at around 8:45 that night, which is about 3 hours after Suzanne went missing, Barry Morphew shows up where deputies had found the bike. So he immediately starts asking questions about what could have happened, to include the possibility that she was attacked by a wild animal. This is a theory that he brings up several times throughout the investigation.
Where is it? Where's the bike?
Oh, it's right there.
Where was it?
It was like just right down here in this little embankment right here. So I took this, dude. I got the husband on the scene here with me.
I'm here with my daughter. She's at Barry's
Oh,
house.
okay. All right, yeah, you can go down
Was
there.
it a crash?
I mean, the bike looked, the way it was laid, it kind of looked like it, but there's not really that much damage to the bike. That's the thing.
Lion?
Yeah, it was just like
Was
lying.
it no lion? Mountain?
I didn't see
Then
it.
Barry leads deputies as they do a walkthrough of the home, but they don't find any sign of forced entry, any disturbance. But they do notate a 22 caliber shell casing that has been unfired in the master bedroom, which is beside the bed. And then under the bed, they find a gun. This is also when they retrieve clothing of Suzanne's to use, I guess, for the tracking dogs. So
Yeah.
use her clothing for scent.
Mm-hmm.
And sir, when we go inside, let's just go directly to where something that she's worn today, and let's not touch anything just for in case.
Okay. Is this unlocked?
Yes. Which way would that be? This way?
Let me touch anything down there.
These are all hers right here?
Yeah.
Have you got a plastic bag?
Yeah.
Or a paper bag?
It says sports mask right again. And then it's direct contact with the skin. No, we should just be fine with one.
On May 14th, Barry Morphew, he offers a reward of $100,000, which a family friend then immediately matched, which made the reward $200,000, which
Oof.
is a really big reward 4 days after she goes missing.
Yeah.
I mean, so the cops are out there immediately. It seems that, her husband and family friend are, they're doing everything they can. I mean, that's a really big reward.
Yeah.
Suzanne's nephew, Trevor Noel, speaks to the media saying she's a beloved member and we want her back. Everyone in the family, we love her. We just want her back. And it was the same time that Trevor also created the Find Suzanne Morphew Facebook page. Now, a few days later, Barry records a video and puts it out on this Facebook page asking for the safe return of his wife.
Oh, Suzanne, if anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. no questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad.
So on the next day, May 15th, law enforcement holds a press conference, and they released then that they found a personal item of Suzanne's while doing the search. But they don't tell us what it is, though, do they?
No, it just says personal item found. It doesn't say anything as to what it is. It's strange that they don't say it.
Yeah, because it's like, why bother to even say anything if you're not going to tell us what it is?
Right.
Oh, then 2 days later, they get a dive team to search bodies of water in the area. And along with the dive team, they request that everyone in the area that has any type of video footage, such as like, I guess, Ring doorbells or security cameras, to preserve their footage, which I think is smart.
Yeah, especially that quickly after the investigation started. So they didn't wait weeks.
Especially with like security cameras, because, you know, people are always like, I don't know, we recorded over them.
Yeah, we don't have the technology to hold that stuff anymore. We're still sitting back there with VCR
Right.
tapes.
Yeah, we had to record over the tape, so we didn't have to buy a new one.
Right. Yeah. Same one since 1982.
Right.
So on May 19th, law enforcement cordons off the home of Suzanne Morphew, and law enforcement won't confirm they are searching the home, but they're just saying it's being held as part of the investigation, and they won't let any family in there. So I would assume, I mean, why else would you cordon off a house other than you're going to search
Yeah.
it? And then just 2 days later, on the 21st of May, they start searching a different property in Salida. The search site is off Highway 50 and County Road 105 and Vanderveer Road, which is about a mile east of Salida. Yeah, law enforcement eventually releases a statement saying, in response to widespread rumors, the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office relays that Miss Morphew has not been located and there have been no arrests in the investigation. Because I imagine rumors are just, you know, it's been about a week. Rumors are going crazy by now. So law enforcement just wants to come out and try and stop as many rumors as possible.
Yeah. Well, and then we go to like months later, because Barry stops talking to anyone until about 3 months later. And then he talks to a reporter, which is kind of interesting. Like, you go 3 months not talking to anybody, and then you're like, well, better call a reporter.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand not talking at all ever from the
Yeah.
beginning. You know, like I'm not, like we've said multiple times on here, I'm not talking without an attorney, and no, I'm not taking a lie detector test. I don't care how guilty that makes me look. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. But I guess there would be reasons too. Like, maybe you just are like, okay, I'll try anything at this point, and I'll talk to a reporter.
Yeah.
But he doesn't let them tape it, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't know. Like, are you trying not to get caught up in anything, or?
It is a little strange because it's like,
Yeah.
if you haven't talked in 3 months, now all of a sudden you're going to start talking, but I don't want anything on tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says that Suzanne was, quote, the love of his life, and he continues to search for her every day, end quote. He theorized there could have been an accident, maybe even a driver or some kind of animal attack. So I guess insinuating maybe somebody like hit and run.
Yeah.
So they ask him why he's been staying silent, and he says, I'm afraid of what is out there. People don't know the truth, so they're going to think what they're going to think.
Which makes sense, but at the same time, if they're going to think what they're going to think, is talking to reporters going to help?
Right.
Especially when you won't go on the record with anyone. You just, hey,
Yeah.
don't say anything to anybody. You can quote me, but I'm not going to, let you tape it. Seems weird.
The thing is, though, I mean, it's always like they say, don't talk at all, because people are going to say what they're going to say. If you don't give them anything to work with, then they can't spin nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So in September 2020, Jeff Puckett, who is a guy that Morphew hired for that job in Broomfield, he gave an exclusive interview to someone saying Barry stayed at a budget hotel in Denver the night before Suzanne disappeared. Now, Denver is just, Broomfield is right outside of Denver. He said that Barry ordered him to come to Denver, but when he got there, Barry had been called away due to a family emergency. So he's trying to say that the job was not planned; it was last second. But Barry does say later that it wasn't last second. So there's that back and forth a little bit there. It did say while at the hotel, though, people made note that the room had a very strong odor of chlorine, which, I mean, I don't know. Was he near the pool? I mean, chlorine versus bleach? I don't, so, but they
Yeah.
did say there was a strong odor of chlorine. And there's security footage, as you can see on the slides here, that Barry was seen disposing of several bags of garbage into multiple dumpsters around the hotel.
Wow, you even found like a color photo. I had a hard time finding anything but black and white stuff. So
Look at that,
that
huh?
really gives you the ability to track him, seeing it so vividly.
It does. And I mean, the one in the top left where he's got multiple little bags in his hand, it just, I mean, it looks suspicious only because, of the situation, but he was only there for one night. You got
Yeah.
you got that many bags in your hand for one night?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like,
know.
what is all this? And that's not the kind of thing you carry clothes in. So what is it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's not your clothes. You'd have like a little duffel bag or something.
Yeah. But like I said, it only looks suspicious because of the
Yeah.
circumstances. I mean, any other time, this is just a dude taking out garbage.
Also, in an interview, speaking about him rushing home, he says, I rushed home, left all my tools at the hotel, called my workers, and said, I've got a family emergency. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. And then he says he went directly to the site where the bike was. So I guess he just drove straight out there. So the same worker said that when he got to the room Sunday night, it smelled very strongly of chlorine, which they don't clean the rooms with. So I guess they checked with him to make sure. When he heard the claims of the strong smell in the room, Puckett said, quote, I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It did, he said. I mean, it smelled really strong. I'm like, damn, that's just what I thought. However, he believes it was from whatever chemicals were used to clean during COVID.
Like, I get frustrated sometimes when I read what people say because, I mean, the first part, he's like, damn, it did smell like that. It's chlorine. It's so suspicious that but, maybe it's COVID.
Yeah, it's like,
I
why
mean,
even say anything then?
right? Like, if you think it's not, at least start with that. Hey, I smelled chlorine, but I just immediately thought maybe it's COVID, not
Yep.
all this stuff. And then, okay, COVID. It's just,
Yeah, and I mean,
know.
they were all of a sudden cleaning with stuff that we've never even heard of before. So who knows what it smelled like?
I mean, we're coming home and wiping our boxes down with Clorox wipes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like you're just cleaning with whatever you have and whatever you think makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, you're a budget motel, and now all of a sudden you have to. I mean, because let's be real, they're not cleaning like we think they should. So now all of a sudden they feel like they have to. So yeah, maybe they are grabbing whatever they can find because they don't want to go out and buy a bunch of cleaning products. So they just try and use whatever they have. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why, but also he could have killed her.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So around the same time, Suzanne's brother starts working with the Profiling Evil team to organize search parties. They helped him get hundreds of people to sign up for the search. And Suzanne's brother, Andy Mormon, believes the investigation to find his sister needs public support. He says, I have to, Mormon said over the weekend at a vigil in Indiana. I can't live without myself if I don't try. So Profiling Evil also does evidence crowdsourcing, where, all of you, web sleuth internet detectives out there, you can find whatever evidence. And they actually have a thing called an evidence room where people submit what they've found or what they think they've found to Profiling Evil, and they kind of just put it in this little designated area on their site.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, thought it was.
Yeah. And then, you've got during the investigation, several of the neighbors talking to the media. So you have a business owner coming out and saying, we're such a small town where everyone knows everything. You would be amazed by the secrets the mountains hold regarding this case, which is interesting because you're like, what secrets?
Yeah,
What's going around this town that you're not telling us?
Right, because it's a really small town, so I understand people knowing everything, but that sounds kind of bad.
Right. And then another store owner says, quote, people that have money can do dangerous things. If you get too close to the fire, you can get burned. I'm like, where are you getting these quotes from these people? Like, what? It sounds so ominous.
It does. But I mean, this is just, I don't know. It's what people were saying. It's nuts.
It is. So the sheriff comments and says it has a big impact on our community. We're small, pretty tight knit, and there's a lot of people concerned about this. But, it's not just locally. I've seen a lot of concern nationwide. And he's absolutely right. I mean, this was a big story.
However, others, to include the family of Suzanne, they kind of expressed some concerns with how the investigation was being handled. Family said that they have run into roadblocks, saying that Sheriff John's gone completely silent, can't get any responses back from him at all. A business owner in the area said that they did collect video surveillance, but law enforcement didn't stop by their shop before the footage was erased. So here we go with that. I mean, like, it's only been a couple weeks.
Right.
Like they asked like 4 days after to hold on to it, and you did that, but you're like, they didn't stop by fast enough. I had to record over that VCR tape.
Jeez.
And then, Barry also had some things to say. He said, I know for a fact that the sheriffs are embarrassed at how they handled the investigation, and they just want to crawl under a rock about it.
How does he know that? Right? Come on.
Right. He's just trying to jump on the bandwagon of, law enforcement isn't doing everything correctly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they ain't studying it, I'm sure. And obviously, I mean, the investigation continues, and they put together what they believe was enough evidence, and they arrest Barry on May 5th of 2021, and the charge was murder. So he awaits trial for nearly a year, but then on April 19th of 2022, less than 10 days before the trial, the DA drops the charges against him, which... What? Like, you don't waited a year, and all of a sudden it's like, we're just kidding, we're out.
Yeah, it does seem kind of strange.
And while the DA could refile the charges at a later date, I mean, as of today, it still remains an open case, but it doesn't appear the charges against Barry are coming anytime soon.
It does not, because everything I've been looking at just talks about what they did and what, previous. It doesn't have a lot of what's going to happen. Type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, at one point, the DA, like we're talking, they must have thought they had a strong enough case against Barry, even without a body or a murder weapon, which that's always an uphill battle for prosecution if they don't have those two things. They always say, "What? No body, no crime." Well,
yeah.
Apparently, they thought they had enough, but the question is like, what did they have? What was the evidence against him that led to them being so confident in the arrest of him? Because when they arrested him, I mean, there was a lot of people that are like, finally we got justice for Suzanne and all this, just to wait 11 and a half months to drop the charges right before the trial started. So I'm very curious as to what they had, and then what caused them to drop the charges.
Yeah, because you thought you had enough to arrest him. It almost makes you wonder, did they think they were on to something? So they were like, you know what, let's just go ahead and arrest him because we'll have this information by the time it gets to trial, maybe thinking they knew where her body was or something. And then they were like, you know what, we just don't got it. So I guess we're going to just cut him loose.
Yeah, that may be, because when I was researching this, I did see something that was saying, we believe we're, about to locate her body. Well, clearly that didn't happen. So,
yeah,
potentially maybe they were concerned about him as a flight risk or I don't know, or something, because
you know what, I didn't even think about that. That's true. Yeah. I mean, if they thought they got word from somebody that he was getting antsy or something, maybe they were like, oh, we better get him in here before he leaves.
Well, yeah, because I mean, they allowed him to sell the house because they released it. So they allowed him to sell the house in March of 2021, and then they arrested him in May. So they may have thought that maybe he was getting some money together and doing what he needed to do to get out of the country before they could act. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But so in our next video, because there's a lot to this case.
Oh my God, there's so much.
There's so much. So I'm trying to put it all in one video, but I don't think that's going to be the best for everybody, because there is so much. And in our next video, we're going to dig deeper into the investigation itself, and we're going to go through the probable cause affidavit and see what evidence they had that led to Barry's arrest, because there's not a murder weapon and there's no body, but there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that when you put it all together,
yeah,
I feel pretty confident that they were going in the right direction. But I guess they didn't once they got down to the trial starting, because there is a lot of stuff out there. There's I mean, there's spy pins, there's affairs, there's there's all kinds of stuff in this case that there's a lot.
Yeah, I
to it.
remember at first thinking like, what could they? I mean, what do they even have on him? They don't have anything. I don't know how they're going to convict him. And then started reading through that arrest affidavit or probable cause affidavit, and I'm like, whoa, this is starting to add up here.
Well, and that's the reason I want to do the probable cause affidavit in another video, because there is so much. There's 130 pages.
Yeah.
There is a lot in that. So I want to go through that and see what we can find, because there's a lot of stuff out there for this. But before we go, hey, make sure you subscribe to the podcast or the channel, depending on how you're listening. If you're on YouTube, give us a like on the video, leave us a comment. We're always interested in what you guys have to say as well. It's a very interesting case, and there's a lot that we're gonna go through it in the next video. But that's it for now. We'll see you next time on Crime on the Record.